Well, it's great for all of us to be able to gather together this evening as we come together to pray for the Lord's healing grace within our lives. You know, that first reading today, St. Paul talks about the thorn of the flesh that he had. And he really doesn't go on to elaborate that. But it's a very important message that he gives there. That he had that thorn of the flesh, that weakness, whatever it may have been. And he prayed many times that the Lord would deliver him from that. But the Lord said, "No, my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is there with you. And it's in your weakness that you have true strength." Because it's within our weakness that God's grace can truly be ever more operative. Jesus in the gospel today also prays there at the Garden of Gethsemane, faced with his own passion and death. He prayed that that cup might pass him by, but he said, "Not my will, but thine be done." Knowing that God's will is our eternal happiness. God's will is our eternal fulfillment. God's will is that we know the grace and the strength that we need for our daily lives. We all need healing within our lives. Some physical, some emotional, some spiritual. But we all need to be touched by the Lord's grace. And that's what I'm convinced happens, is that the Lord touches us with his grace. You know, I've been to Lourdes probably about 5 different times in my life. And at the shrine there at Lourdes, there's many people who come with various physical, emotional, spiritual needs. And as they go away from there, many of their physical, emotional problems maybe have not been solved, but they go away as changed persons. There's a miracle of grace that God gives to each and every one. And that's what we pray for in a very special way. That miracle of God's grace, that whatever the Lord sees best for us, that he will touch us with his healing strength, with his power, with his love. He tells us even in the midst of our weakness, it's then that we can be the strongest, not by our own power, but by God's power that enters into our life. It's wonderful that we begin this service this evening with the Eucharist, because that is the greatest presence of Christ for us today, is in his word, in his very body and blood in Holy Communion. In every Eucharist, Jesus reaches out to touch us with his love, with his grace, with his healing peace. And it's those gifts that we most need within our lives. And so we come in the spirit of Paul, in the spirit of Jesus. Lord, remove this thorn from my side, but not my will, but yours be done.